My life had always felt like a picture-perfect postcard. I was an accountant, with a knack for making sense of complex numbers, and I had used that skill to build a comfortable, stable life. My husband, Mike, was a successful architect, and our 19-year-old daughter, Emily, was thriving in her second year of college. We lived in a beautiful home in the suburbs, had a close-knit group of friends, and everything seemed to be exactly where it should be. We were the couple everyone looked up to, the family that had it all. At least that's what I thought. But sometimes the most perfect pictures are the ones that have been photoshopped the most. My story isn't about numbers. It's about the truth that was hidden beneath a mountain of lies and the shocking events that followed. It's a reminder that sometimes the betrayal you least expect comes from the person you trust the most. Before this story unfolds, I'd love to connect with you. Please let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is in your corner of the world. It's amazing to see how far these stories can travel. My days had a predictable rhythm. Waking up to the smell of Mike's freshly brewed coffee, a quick check-in with Emily via text, and then off to the office where I spent my days balancing ledgers and preparing tax returns. My life was so full of routine I didn't even notice the small cracks beginning to form. Mike had been working late more often, and his business trips had become more frequent. He'd say he was swamped with a big new architectural project, and I had no reason to doubt him. He was building his dream, and I was his biggest supporter. He would come home exhausted, but always had a new story to tell about a difficult client or a complex design challenge. Our conversations, once full of shared memories and dreams, now revolved around his work. I was proud of him, so proud I missed the warning signs. The way he would quickly put his phone face down whenever I walked into the room, the new expensive cologne he started wearing, the small vague answers to my questions about his weekend trips. I dismissed them all as stress from his demanding job. He was a good man, a dedicated husband and father. He was my rock, my partner. Or so I believed. It all started with a coffee run. I was meeting my best friend Leo, a business consultant who had a mind as sharp as a tack. We had planned to catch up, but before I could get a word in, Leo started talking about a bizarre situation at his office. "So, there's this young intern, Ashley," he began. "She works in the design department, and she's been going around telling everyone she's pregnant with one of the architect's babies. She's claiming he promised to leave his wife and pay for everything. The whole office is talking about it." A shiver of unease went through me. I didn't know why, but the story felt uncomfortably close. Leo continued, "Apparently, she's demanding a settlement, $30,000 to keep quiet and take care of the baby. She even showed some of the other interns a text message from him, promising to take care of her." He shook his head in disgust. "Can you believe the nerve? She's only 21, my heart hammered in my chest. I tried to push the feeling away, but the specifics were too vivid. A young intern, a well-known architect, and a large sum of money. Could it be Mike? No, it was impossible. But the seed of doubt had been planted. I couldn't shake the conversation with Leo. The details replayed in my mind like a broken record. That night, when Mike came home, I noticed his phone was on the kitchen counter, screen up. My usual habit was to ignore it, to respect his privacy. But this time, I couldn't. I told myself I just needed to check the time, but my hand was shaking as I picked it up. A notification appeared on the lock screen from an unknown number. "I'm sorry, I can't do that anymore. You need to handle it on your own now." A cold dread washed over me. The messages were just a few lines of a fragmented conversation, but they were enough. Mike's frantic text messages. "Ashley, what are you doing? I told you not to talk to anyone. You can't do this. My family will find out." My world came crashing down. The words swam before my eyes, each one a dagger to my heart. My husband. The man I had loved for over 2 decades. The man I had trusted with every fiber of my being. He wasn't just working late. He was leading a secret life, and the college girl from Leo's story was demanding to be paid for her silence. The perfect life I had so carefully constructed was nothing but a fragile house of cards, and it had just collapsed. I wanted to scream, to cry, but I was frozen, the phone still clutched in my hand, the damning evidence right there in front of me. The rage and hurt eventually gave way to a cold, calculated clarity. Mike was asleep in the next room, oblivious, and I spent the rest of the night sifting through his digital life. I accessed our joint bank account and combed through months of statements. The numbers I once used to build a life now revealed the truth. Dozens of small, suspicious transactions. a new credit card I didn't know about, and a series of large cash withdrawals, $1,000, $2,000, then $5,000, all over the last 6 months. It was a financial trail that led right to my husband's deception. I found receipts for expensive dinners, weekend getaways, and luxury gifts, all from places he had told me he was on business trips. But the most damning evidence was a transfer from his business account to a Venmo account named Ashley. The transfer amount was exactly $30,000, dated just 2 days ago. That was it. The proof. He hadn't just cheated. He had paid off this girl, and he had done it using money that was supposed to be for our family. The perfect life was a lie, and every penny he had spent was a symbol of his betrayal. My plan began to take shape. I wasn't going to have a private, tear-filled confrontation. I wasn't going to beg for an explanation. I was going to expose the truth, not just to him, but to everyone who had watched our perfect life unfold. I gathered my evidence, copies of the bank statements, screenshots of the text messages, and a list of all the suspicious transactions. I then scheduled a meeting with Leo, who I knew had a good relationship with the senior partners at Mike's architectural firm. I told him everything. He was furious on my behalf and agreed to help me. Mike's firm was a small but prestigious one, and reputation was everything. I crafted an anonymous email, detailing everything I had discovered, including the large payment to Ashley and the financial impropriety it represented for his business. The email was carefully worded to sound like it was from a concerned colleague. I attached the screenshots and a detailed timeline of events. Then Leo forwarded the email to his contact, making it seem like he had just received it from a mutual friend. I didn't care what Mike said. His lies had gone on for long enough. His reputation was about to crumble. The next morning, I got a frantic call from Mike. "Sarah, what is this?" He stammered. "I don't know who sent this, but it's a huge misunderstanding." He was at his office. The senior partners had just called him into a meeting and had the email on the table. He was cornered. I remained calm. "A misunderstanding, Mike?" I said, my voice as cold as ice. "Then what about the $30,000 to a 21-year-old barista named Ashley? The money you took from our joint account? The texts where you beg her not to tell anyone?" My words were like a series of hammer blows, and I could hear his panicked breathing on the other end of the line. "Sarah, please, just let me explain," he begged. "There's nothing to explain," I said. "The numbers don't lie. I hope you're as good at explaining this to your business partners as you are at lying to me." I hung up the phone. A few hours later, I got another call. It was a partner from Mike's firm. He sounded apologetic and professional. He told me that Mike had been placed on temporary leave pending an internal investigation and that his position was under review. The public embarrassment and the financial hit to his reputation were the first blows. He wasn't just a liar. He was a liability. The lie that had been so easy for him to spin was now a very public and humiliating truth. The fallout was swift and brutal. Mike was forced to resign from his firm, his reputation in the professional world in ruins. He tried to come home and apologize, to beg for forgiveness, but I refused to listen. I had already filed for divorce and the documents had been served. The legal process was clean and direct. The settlement money he had paid out to Ashley was used against him in court, as was his deceit. He lost his career, his good name, and he lost me. The perfect life was gone, but in its place I was building a real one. One based on honesty and strength. I moved forward with my life, with the support of Leo and my daughter, Emily. The house we had built together was sold, and I bought a small, beautiful condo for myself. Emily was proud of me. She told me I had shown her what it meant to be strong, and that meant more to me than any perfect life. I was no longer a wife, but I was still an accountant, a mother, and a woman who had found her voice again. My story wasn't a fairy tale ending, but it was a true one. It was a story about a woman who had a choice to be a victim or to get her life back. I chose the latter, and I've never looked back.